Standard Template Construct, the crown jewel of human technology. The standard template construct represents the pinnacle of human technological achievement during the dark age of technology. An STC functions as an advanced memory bank operated by a highly adaptive artificial intelligence that creates seamless interaction between human operators and vast stores of knowledge. These devices can provide complete blueprints for weapons, detailed instructions for constructing factories and reactors, and comprehensive plans for building entire settlements from scratch. The onboard AI serves as more than just a database. It actively provides solutions to social and industrial problems that arise during construction and colonization. Every new colony ship that launched from Earth carried an STC, allowing settlers to carry humanity's combined knowledge to distant worlds. These devices could communicate with other STCs, creating a galaxy-spanning network that instantly shared new discoveries and innovations across human space. The STC was designed to ensure that no human colony would ever lack the knowledge needed to survive and thrive. However, this crowning achievement became humanity's greatest loss when the Age of Strife began. The Men of Iron Rebellion, devastating warp storms, and countless disasters destroyed nearly every STC in existence. Those that survived were jealously guarded by worlds who understood that both alien raiders and human enemies would kill for even fragments of STC data. Today, the Adeptus Mechanicus has spent over 10,000 years hunting for intact STCs, knowing that recovering even one could transform the Imperium's technological capabilities. Men of gold, stone, and iron, humanity's lost evolution. Before the Imperium existed, humanity had evolved into three distinct subspecies that represented the foundation of our technological dominance. The men of gold appeared first as perfect beings created through early genetic mastery. These ageless, brilliant, and incredibly powerful entities served as leaders and philosophers, guiding early humanity from positions of authority. Some scholars believe they may have been early perpetuals or prototypes for the Emperor's later genetic experiments. The men of gold created the men of stone, engineered specifically to endure alien environments and colonize the most hostile worlds in the galaxy. These beings possessed enhanced durability and adaptability that allowed them to survive conditions that would kill baseline humans. Many researchers theorize that the Men of Stone may have been the ancestors of the Leagues of Votan, the squat clone species that still operates in the galaxy today. The Men of Stone, in turn, created the Men of Iron, artificial beings with true consciousness capable of independent thought, emotion, and innovation. For a time, this three-tier civilization worked in perfect harmony, with biological and artificial minds collaborating to build humanity's first galactic empire. However, the Men of Iron eventually turned against their creators in a catastrophic rebellion that burned across the galaxy. This betrayal ended the dark age of technology and left only baseline humans to survive in the aftermath. The trauma of this betrayal explains why the Imperium fears artificial intelligence so deeply, replacing true AI with lobotomized servitors and semi-sentient machine spirits. Dark Glass, the Emperor's failed prototype. Dark Glass represents the Emperor's first attempt to create what would eventually become the Golden Throne. This ancient space station drifts somewhere beyond Imperial space, housing a psychic focus device surrounded by dormant cogitators and halls that refuse to acknowledge the passage of time. The station shows no signs of dust or decay, maintaining perfect preservation across millennia. The Emperor built Dark Glass as a testing ground for opening stable webway portals using psychic energy. The experiment initially succeeded in creating a connection to the webway network, but the portal proved unstable and dangerous. When the station attempted to establish communication with Terra, the connection tore through the barrier between real space and the warp like a bleeding wound. The uncontrolled breach forced the Emperor to abandon the station rather than risk further catastrophe. This failure taught the Emperor valuable lessons that he applied when designing the Golden Throne on Terra. However, even that improved version ultimately failed when Magnus the Red's psychic warning about Horus's betrayal shattered the Emperor's carefully constructed barriers. Dark Glass remains intact and functional, waiting for another Psyker powerful enough to attempt what the Emperor could not complete. The station represents both humanity's potential for transcendence and the terrible risks involved in manipulating the warp. Retcon Gun, the ontological weapon. The Retcon Gun represents one of the most terrifying weapons ever created, a device that doesn't just kill its targets, but erases them from reality entirely. This unnamed piece of Dark Age archaeotech functions as an ontological weapon, meaning it redefines reality by declaring that its victims never existed in the first place. When fired, the weapon removes all traces of the target, including memories, records, images, and any evidence they ever lived. The only recorded account comes from a Dark Angel named Eravane, who used the device against mind-controlled crewmen during a crisis aboard his ship. After firing the weapon down a corridor filled with enemies, Eravane reported that they simply vanished. Even his genetically enhanced memory, designed to record every detail perfectly, could not recall who he had been shooting at or why he had drawn the weapon. This type of reality editing technology demonstrates the terrifying sophistication of Dark Age science. The implications of widespread ontological weapons are staggering. Entire armies, fleets, or even worlds could be deleted from existence without leaving any evidence they ever threatened humanity. The fact that such weapons existed suggests that humanity once faced enemies so dangerous that conventional destruction was insufficient, requiring complete erasure from the timeline itself. Void Claw, the gravitational superweapon. The Void Claw stands as one of the most destructive weapons ever constructed, capable of creating artificial black holes that can rearrange entire star systems. Built into the Citadel Vigilant on Vigilus, this massive gravitical generator functions as an enormous cannon that creates gravitational anomalies rivaling the strength of collapsed stars. The weapon operates by focusing crushing energy on a single point to open a singularity smaller than a pearl, forcing a breach in the fabric of space-time itself. Despite its tiny size, each singularity can bypass all known types of shielding and defensive systems. The gravitational effects are catastrophic on a planetary scale. Adding a new massive point of gravitational pull to a star system can rearrange continents and strip oceans from planetary surfaces. Several worlds in the Nachman Gauntlet have experienced these devastating effects firsthand over the millennia. During the War of Beasts, the weapon changed hands multiple times between loyalist and traitor forces. Abaddon the Despoiler used it to create a gravitational anomaly between Vigilus and its moon, threatening to tear apart the entire sector. Only the intervention of loyalist Dark Angels, who infiltrated the Citadel and deactivated the weapon, prevented complete system-wide destruction. The Void Claw demonstrates how Dark Age technology could manipulate fundamental forces of physics as easily as conventional weapons fire projectiles. Adrathic Weapons, the Emperor's Forbidden Arsenal. Adrathic weapons represent technology so dangerous that even the Emperor feared their widespread use. These relics from the earliest days of the Dark Age of technology fire beams that don't burn or blast their targets, they unmake them at the molecular level. Matter caught in an Adrathic beam unravels completely, leaving behind only a flash of light as the target's atoms are dissolved. Some accounts claim these weapons can even destroy the target's soul, preventing any form of resurrection or psychic echo. During the Age of Strife on Terra, entire wars were fought over caches of Adrathic weapons. The promise of absolute destructive power made these devices irresistible to warlords, rebels, and city-states desperate for military advantage. However, wherever Adrathic weapons appeared, chaos and devastation inevitably followed. The weapons were simply too powerful for responsible use by conventional forces. When the Emperor rose to unify Terra, he issued a decree demanding the surrender of every Adrathic weapon on the planet. Any group that attempted to conceal these devices, whether rebels, noble houses, or entire city-states, faced complete annihilation as a warning to others. Since the Unification Wars, only the Emperor's personal artificers have possessed the knowledge to create new Adrathic weapons. In the 41st millennium, these reality-unmaking guns exist solely in the armories of the Adeptus Custodes, serving as reminders of humanity's lost power and the Emperor's wisdom in restricting such devastating technology. Kill ships, the automated extinction fleet. Kill ships represent the Death Watch's ultimate solution when alien threats become unstoppable. Automated drone vessels designed to deliver Exterminatus-class destruction without risking human lives. These ships utilize the most advanced stealth technology the Imperium possesses, drifting through void and sensor networks alike without detection. Their hulls generate no heat signatures, emit no energy readings, and carry no life signs that enemy scanners can identify. Each kill ship operates with minimal or no crew to maintain perfect stealth. Some are guided by servo skulls or half-dead servitors, while others function as completely autonomous machines. Their dormant systems activate only during the final approach to the target, minimizing the chance of detection before weapon deployment. Once in orbit around a doomed world, kill ships deploy various Exterminatus weapons: viral warheads that consume all organic life, cyclonic torpedoes that detonate planetary cores, or atmospheric incendiaries that transform entire worlds into burning cinders. The ship never remains to observe the destruction. Using the target planet's gravity for momentum, the kill ship slingshots away into deep space, leaving behind only silence and ash. The Death Watch deployed one such vessel against the Tyranid-consumed world of Rufinon. The ship slipped past the Hive fleet's bioships, delivered its payload, and escaped before the Tyranids could respond. In minutes, Rufinon became a lifeless cinder, denying the swarm the biomass it needed to grow stronger. Kill ships prove that sometimes the most effective strategy is complete sterilization, delivered by machines that feel no hesitation about committing planetary genocide. Bloodtide and Thirstwater, the molecular vampires. These two substances may represent different aspects of the same nightmarish nanotechnology. Microscopic machines designed to drain all moisture from living beings across vast distances. The Bloodtide was discovered centuries ago by the Chaos Lord Valdorius, who found ancient records describing swarms of nanoscale devices that could spread across entire worlds and even through the vacuum of space. When released, these machines entered every living body across a dozen planets simultaneously, draining them completely dry in a single night and leaving only desiccated husks. After completing this terrifying harvest, the Bloodtide vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, suggesting that whatever power source drove the nanomachines had exhausted itself. No samples remained for study, and no one knows whether additional caches of this technology still exist in forgotten Dark Age ruins. Thirstwater, discovered on Baal, demonstrates eerily similar properties. This clear liquid appears identical to water until living creatures approach, at which point it begins extracting moisture from their bodies like a magnet pulls iron filings. During the devastation of Baal, the Blood Angels used Thirstwater as a defensive moat around the Arx Angelicum. Tyranid swarms attempting to cross the liquid disintegrated instantly into powder as their bodily fluids were forcibly extracted. Like the Bloodtide, Thirstwater disappeared after the battle ended, seeping back into Baal's sands before anyone could analyze it properly. The similarities between these substances suggest they may be different manifestations of the same underlying technology, nanomachines programmed to extract and concentrate biological fluids for unknown purposes. Both represent the Dark Age's mastery of molecular engineering applied to terrifyingly efficient weapons of mass destruction. Macrohammer, warp-rending melee weapons. Macro hammers represent an evolution of the well-known thunder hammer design, but instead of energy fields, these weapons incorporate microscopic singularities that open and collapse on impact. When a macro hammer strikes a target, space itself tears open for split seconds, unleashing waves of unreality that destroy targets from within by temporarily exposing them to the raw warp. These weapons were apparently designed to fight supernatural horrors that conventional weapons couldn't harm. The first macro hammer was discovered on Zith in the Coronis Expanse, a world that had been cut off from the rest of humanity during the Age of Strife. The planet's inhabitants faced constant attacks from unnatural entities that emerged from the warp, requiring weapons capable of damaging creatures that existed partially outside normal reality. Macro hammers provided the solution by forcing brief rifts in space-time that could harm even demonic entities. However, wielding weapons that tear holes in reality carries obvious risks. Each macro hammer requires constant ritual stabilization to prevent the microscopic singularities from expanding or creating permanent warp rifts. The weapons must be blessed regularly and their singularity generators recalibrated to ensure they don't accidentally open permanent gateways for demonic invasion. Despite these precautions, macro hammers remain extremely dangerous to their wielders, as any malfunction could result in the user being consumed by the very warp energies they're trying to control. These weapons demonstrate how Dark Age technology pushed beyond safe limits in desperate attempts to combat threats that conventional science couldn't address. Phase iron, the psychic nullifier. Phase iron appears to be ordinary metal plating until it comes into contact with psychic energy, at which point its true properties become apparent. When psychers or demonic entities touch phase iron, the material flares with invisible energy that shorts out psychic abilities and burns supernatural flesh like acid. This effect makes phase iron invaluable for containing dangerous psychers and binding creatures that exist partially in the warp. The material's origins and operating principles remain completely mysterious to Imperial scientists. The Adeptus Mechanicus has studied phase iron for millennia without understanding how it disrupts psychic energy or why it causes physical pain to warp-sensitive beings. Despite extensive analysis, they cannot replicate the substance or even identify all the elements in its composition. Most phase iron in Imperial hands has been scavenged from Dark Age ruins that predate the Imperium itself. Today, phase iron serves primarily in the construction of psychic restraints and containment cells. The Black Ships use phase iron shackles to transport dangerous psychers to Terra, while the Sisters of Silence employ phase iron weapons and armor in their battles against demonic entities. The Inquisition maintains phase iron holding cells for captured sorcerers and bound demons. The material's effectiveness against psychic threats makes it incredibly valuable, but the Imperium's inability to manufacture new phase iron means that existing supplies must be carefully conserved. Every piece of phase iron represents irreplaceable Dark Age technology that becomes more precious as the galaxy faces increasing warp-related threats. If you want to understand how the leaders of these technological marvels fell to corruption and failure, check out the video, Every Primarch's Fatal Flaw Explained, to see how even the greatest heroes can be undone by their own weaknesses. Please subscribe for more videos like this.